So in the final interview, we got to remember that they've applied, they've gone through the screening and scheduling process, they've gone through the group interview pitch, they fully understand about 80 to 90% of the opportunity. They're probably going to flush through some more details with you in your one-on-one, but really the final interview is about closing the candidates that you want to recruit. Now, just because they went to the group interview and they showed up to a final interview doesn't mean that everybody's going to be a perfect fit and you're going to want to hire them, but this has in general been a good high-level screening process of ads, screening out roughly 60+% of the people, funneling the people into group interviews, pitching the dream so they fully understand the opportunity, ensuring that the people that are no longer interested in the opportunity opt out of the group interview process, and then you funnel the people post-group interview into the one-on-ones that are actually interested. So most likely these one-on-ones are going to be really great meetings. Now these meetings can be via Zoom, face-to-face. It really depends on what you want to do and a couple other factors like your sales model and if you have an office and if you're doing localized recruiting or remote recruiting and a few other things. But either way, my point is you can do one-on-ones via Zoom or face-to-face. Both group interviews and one-on-ones via Zoom are always going to have a higher show-up rate, which means more recruiting opportunities for you. But if you're doing localized recruiting, some aspect of the recruiting process is probably, at least in the final interview, going to be face-to-face. But either way, the final interview is also an 8-step process. I'm not going to go through every step like I did the group interview. The group interview is more important because that's where you're really selling the opportunity. And really in the final interview, you just need to understand a few core processes. And those are really just learning about the candidate. So this is kind of the deep dive, at least what we call it in step 2 of our final interview. And that's understanding, hey, why are you actually interested in the opportunity? Why are you here for a one-on-one today? Like, what about the group presentation got you intrigued about the opportunity? And you're diving into exactly why that is. So you can use that in your case to close them later in the final interview. Also in this deep dive, you're understanding what's been missing from past opportunities. So, hey, Mr. Candidate or hey, Mrs. Candidate, there's a reason why you're still looking for opportunities. Obviously, you haven't found the perfect fit. So help me understand what's been missing from past opportunities so we can actually ensure that those things are not an issue here. And this information is just really collecting information that's going to help you close down the candidate and really customize your pitch later to get them into onboarding. And lastly, in this deep dive aspect of the final interview, you want to understand what they really want to accomplish. So their personal, professional, and financial goals, you need to start to understand those things so you can communicate how they're actually going to accomplish their personal, professional, and financial goals within your sales opportunity. So really one of the core aspects of the final interview, to recap, you need to understand what they already like about your opportunity, what's been missing from their past opportunities, and ultimately what their personal, professional, and financial goals are for the future so that you can build your pitch and your opportunity around that. So by the end of the final interview, they see that the issues that they've experienced in the past, that they're not going to experience this at your organization, and everything about their personal, professional, and financial goals are actually accomplishable in your business. The next high-level thing that you want to understand about the candidate, is it a culture fit? Are they excited about your mission, vision? Do they seem to align with your values? And again, I know for a lot of you, you don't have those things defined, that's fine. But ideally what you do, the ideal situation is that you understand if they're excited about what you're trying to accomplish as a business and if they actually align with the values that you have, because this is going to ensure that they're excited about the future of the business, that they're more bought in, and that you actually like working with them because they align with your values, if that makes sense. Now, obviously, if you don't have your mission, vision, and values together, you need to kind of put those things together so you can implement that into your one-on-one and also into the group interview, but it is an important aspect of the final interview. And the last high-level thing that you're trying to see in the final interview is if they have the skill sets necessary to see success in the position. Now, screening on the background is kind of a nuanced situation because it really depends on your sales process, how long the ramp up is, your leadership ability, how good you are at training and leading and managing people. There's so many factors, so it's hard to give you instruction on screening for the skill sets, but ideally you understand your bare minimum skill set requirements to train somebody up into your role, whether it's entry-level sales, self-gen and close position, or it's a closer position and they're taking leads. And ideally you understand those things and you can look for those things in the final interview process and screen in your final interviews based on that information. One note that I'll say, and again, it depends on so many factors, but I personally believe you shouldn't be too strict in the screening process, especially in a commission-based sales opportunity. As an example, I just did a recent client testimonial, and this client in the first 60 days through our recruiting service retained 3 people. They were ramping up into quota, and the top person out of the 3 who actually ended up being a top person on the entire sales team, or is almost the top person on the sales team just within 60 days, he was a college professor who had no sales experience. He was in his mid-30s. He wanted to stop being a college professor. He was looking at sales opportunities. He was looking to increase his income by 50 to 100% and have some more freedom in his work. And he came through one of our clients' recruiting processes. They closed them in the group interview, closed them in the final interview. They followed that up with good training and good management. And in month 2, this college professor who had 0 sales experience prior, in an opportunity where reps have to self-generate and close their own deals, this person did 100K in their second month. And again, this person was not an experienced salesperson. So like we talked about at the beginning of the presentation, the nature of your opportunity actually helps determine the quality of candidate and how strict you can be in the recruiting process. If you have an opportunity that's kind of unattractive compared to the rest of the marketplace, you probably can't be as strict as you want to be. So you need to get good at volume recruiting, volume onboarding, volume management, and compensating well, which is what this free course is all about.